Welcome back to another episode of the Higher Level Podcast. So tonight we're going to be talking a wee bit about the recent UFC 249 card. We've got two cards coming up this week, so we're going to be getting some fight picks on the main cards there. And we have with us tonight Danny Henry and Stevie Ray, and obviously as always Higher Level head coach James Doolan. So 249 at the weekend. It's been a while for we've had any MMA. Thoughts on the card? What did you think? Who's going to talk first?
I liked it. I stayed up and watched it. I regretted it on Monday, mind you, but on the Sunday. Card was good. I thought every fight kind of delivered. They were smart with the placement of some of the fights. I think putting that Bryce Mitchell guy on first was a good fight, and then it just kind of flowed pretty well. Even the fights, kind of worried about a couple of them maybe being a wee bit boring, ended up being pretty good.
No, that Bryce Mitchell was a really good fight. It was quite surprising how much he just dominated the ground with Rosa. I think everybody thought that was going to be kind of 50-50 in the ground, but it just looked good. He was just attacking constantly. Rosa could never rest on his laurels at all.
I'm not a big fan of Rosa. I can't mind if it was Danny or his name was mentioned before. I think it was Danny's actually. I mind looking at him. I mind having a look at him and remember thinking he was very beatable for us. I know he has a black belt in jiu-jitsu under Ricardo Laborio, which is it's a good black belt to have under that guy. But I've never been that impressed with him as an MMA fighter. And I think UFC's trying to build this Mitchell guy. He's getting a bit of hype in America because he's a mad Trump supporter and whatever else. Quite an exciting style as well, that kind of fluent grappling.
Yeah, it was, and especially I thought he was going to get that twister again. He was close. Was it the second round? He just ran out of time at the end. I know he had it in. He'd already had the twister in, but then he went back in with it closing at the end of the round, and he really got it in, but he just didn't have the time.
Aye, Bell went.
Rosa had some pretty good submission defence. He escaped a couple of really tight looking arm triangles as well. I thought they were done. Even the twisters, he was managing to get the feet off and hold the sub off. He was pretty tough, but he never had a look in. I think the card was 30-20-24 or something like that. 30-24 or 30-26 or something. They scored it.
I think 2-10-8 rounds, weren't there?
Aye.
He's probably got a stare back today anyway.
Aye. And then we go to the main card. Before we start talking about the fights, who do you think? What was the standout fight for you?
Gaethje.
No, it was a great performance. What did you make of that main event, Stevie? Obviously, it's in your weight class.
I'm trying to actually think if I've even watched the whole thing or if it's I've not watched that fight yet. I've watched 3 episodes of it, so I was like, have I watched that whole fight? Nah, I need to go and watch the rest of it. I've watched a couple of wee clips. That's the shit thing with UFC Fight Pass. It doesn't let you watch the main card fights. I could probably get it on like some MMA core or something. I've just not had time. I went on a Fight Pass. I think it was the day after the show, and I watched a couple of the kind of prelims. I've still got to watch the main card, but I heard it was a good fight, and that Gaethje was quite surprising, like a lot more technical than a lot of people thought kind of that he was like. So
there's some good corner advice as well. I'm sure you'd appreciated that, James, for Gaethje during the fight.
I think the difference in Gaethje now for the Eddie Alvarez fight and stuff like that's massive. You can see he's so much more disciplined. He's distancing and stuff so much better, and even his pressure. He was a wee bit reckless before, but he's not like that now. And he was excellent at the weekend. It was a dangerous fight from him, and he pretty much made it a walk in the park. Other than that uppercut he ate, I think it was in round 2 or 3. pretty solid uppercut. It was fairly one-sided for him. The difference in the coaching and the corner staff was massive. Like the Trevor Whitman and Gaethje's corner, brilliant corner work that everyone has said was spot on, and you could see the two of them actually having a conversation with each other. And then Gaethje done everything he was asked to do. And then in the opposite corner, if you notice, they've got different guys going in. Like, so the first round, one of the striking coaches went in. The third round, I think Eddie Bravo went in. You see there was a wee bit of confusion in that corner. At one point, you've got Tony Ferguson asking where the cut guy is, and it just wasn't a very well run corner at all.
I heard something about them saying, "Give him sand" or something like that, and I'm just like, what the fuck's going on? Eddie Bravo shouting all sorts of code words for the side.
The only thing I can mind for the corner is I think Eddie told him to do an Imanari roll.
In like the fourth round or something.
Nah. Do you think there was an element of, it kind of looked like a wee bit like Tony was expecting Justin to start gassing it, and I think a lot of people did think that would happen, but he just didn't. He pulled back in his punches a bit, obviously, like Trevor Whitman said, and he just bet him up for the full 5 rounds, apart from, like you said, James, at the end of the second, that uppercut.
I didn't want to take anything away for Gaethje's performance. He was excellent. Like James said, his patience and his timing and everything was on point, but I don't feel like Ferguson performed to his potential on the weekend either. And I know Dana's came out and said the double weight cut probably did have quite an effect. And to go back,
I tell you, he's a fucking mongo.
Exactly. Wasn't smart. And I think it maybe did have a bit of an impact on the fight. Just Ferguson, maybe the lack of the crowd. Maybe Ferguson needs a crowd. I don't know. He didn't look himself.
Nah, it's obviously Justin Gaethje's interim. It was interesting at the end of the fight. Justin Gaethje actually he refused the title, didn't he? He says, "No, I'll wait for the real one."
Aye, he'll be wearing it now, I bet you. But
aye, 100%. As long as he's not doing that. What was his name? Oh, Christ, heavyweight. He was a champion. He never used to take the belt off.
Tim Sylvia.
Tim Sylvia, aye, that's it. And the co-main event was obviously Dominic Cruz coming back after a long layoff against Triple C, Mr. Cringe, Henry Cejudo. Danny, I'll come to you first with this one. What did you think about the fight and then the actual stoppage itself?
I thought the stoppage was fair. When I first saw it live, I thought, oh, that's a early stoppage. And then when I actually saw the replay and saw the 10 or 11 unanswered shots, I couldn't argue with it. I picked Cejudo to take that anyway, and I thought he would beat him pretty conclusively, but I think Cruz's style relies on that speed, and he's just lost half a yard's pace, and guys like Cejudo are going to capitalise on that every time.
Aye, 100. But the stoppage itself, I thought the ref could have maybe let it go, but I don't think it wasn't a bad stoppage or anything like that. And I don't know why Cruz was so upset, because up to that point in the fight, it felt like he'd lost every minute of the fight. So it didn't look like he was going to turn it around. What was your thoughts on it, James, as well?
It pretty much went how I thought it would. There's a golfing level between the two guys now. I think the timeout and the Cruz's whole game was built on that erratic movement and stuff, and with the injuries and the timeout, he just doesn't move the same way he used to. And Cejudo's a better athlete than him. He's an Olympian, faster than him, and he's just been busy and really active. So pretty much went how I thought it would. The stoppage was legit as well. He was getting beat. If Cejudo kneed him in the head and then walked away with his hands up, nobody would have argued. But the way he dropped him with a knee, you get guys that are quite fly with that. They walk off KOs like Mark Hunt used to do it and stuff like that, and it almost tricks the referee into stopping the fight for you. I think when he followed him down and kept hitting, he's probably walking back up. At one point, he's slumped over. He's taken a couple of shots. Now you can see him put his hands in the mark, tried it up. But I think I had Cejudo winning it before the fight. I thought he would be just far too much. I think I mentioned it before. It's just like somebody with that was top of the game maybe 4 years ago versus the current kind of meta game kind of style who's winning. And it was a fair stoppage.
And thoughts on Cejudo retiring right after it? Do you think it's a good time for him to retire at 33, or my thoughts are might be a wee bit of a contract negotiation ploy here?
He'll probably not even retire. Even if he feels like he wants to retire now, he still looks healthy and he's still athletic. He's still fairly young. He's not that old anyway. I reckon he'll fight again.
The best thing about that was when you see him saying it, if you look at his shoulder, Dana White's face, he's fucking raging.
Dana didn't look happy, to be fair.
He just gave him a wee thumbs up, but he was not amused at all. Like.
He has been trying to get more money, so immediately I thought, has he been smart here and try to see if he can get some more? I mean, for what he's done in 2 belts and everything he's got, I know obviously that the lower weight class, they don't always get the biggest contracts, 125 and stuff like that, but I thought it might have been a wee bit of gamesmanship for him.
Nah, I don't think so. I think it's legit. He's done everything you can probably do and more in combat sports, and he's talking about raising a family and stuff. I think he's beat the game and he's going to disappear.
Dana was going to cut the divisions, was he not? Fucking cut the whole divisions, and then Cejudo went on a pure kind of rampage.
Flyweight, it was.
Flyweight, he was going to cut. No, 135 is a really exciting division. Obviously, if Cejudo steps away, then I've seen a wee bit of chatter online about different people, like maybe Cruz getting the shot again against Peter Yan. I don't think that's a great idea, to be honest with you.
Well, Jan's not a good idea for anybody, is he?
No. I think probably the 2 most deserving guys at the minute for me are Peter Yan and probably Aljamain Sterling at the moment. That's my thinking anyway.
Marlon Moraes is there as well, and he just beat Aldo. There's some good fights there. They should maybe have some kind of 4-man, just pair them all off and try and have them fight out for the belt. They go with Yan, Sterling, Moraes, and even Aldo or Cruz.
I think that would be it'd be nice to see that sort of thing, and I'd actually quite like to see the Moraes.
What about Pedro Munez? He must be up there as well.
Aye, it's a lot of good guys in that division. It will just be interesting to see where it goes for here. And then the next fight we've got to talk about, we've not got a lot to say, not a lot of time with this fight. It was what Ngannou Rosenstruck, 20 seconds. It was a bit crazy. James, what did you think on that? It surprised you at all, or were you expecting something like that?
See, if you can't wrestle, you should never take a fight with that guy. You can't wrestle you, and you can't match him for physicality. He's just going to bulldoze you, and that's pretty much what happened. The other guys far superior technically. Striker, he's like world level kickboxer or whatever, 70 fights, and then you come in and he's on the back foot trying to stop him coming forward with inside low kick, and it's just too much physically. It's far too much for the guy. So you need wrestling to neutralise him, and if you can't wrestle, you shouldn't be in that division trying to fight him. It's a terrible idea.
Aye, I mean, that was scary. That was scary. It's
ugly. Like, if you watch it, he's off balance and he's fucking all over the place. But
he's up there.
He's not physical. If he hits you, he's going to kill you.
It doesn't even land cleanly.
It's just an arm punch. He's running forward as he's punching. He's not even using proper weight, and he's still fucking dished the cunt.
He's like, he's got these giant hands on the end of these giant long arms. It's like just a big ball and chain. He doesn't even need to put his body in it. Even a half shot's putting these guys out. It's scary. Scary.
He should just do that at the start of every fight. He should just fucking run towards the cunts and throw punches like that. Nobody's gonna last.
Like your amateur career.
Exactly.
They had the two of them at the same height. They were 6'4". There's no way they were the same height. It must be when you get in that cage room and then you look across and you see, especially the now. I mean, he physically looks better than he ever has. That must be a sight to see across for you.
Need a gun.
Aye, he's intimidating. Like if you can't wrestle, you're in trouble. Because he'll run onto your double leg legs and stuff like that. And then his confidence starts to go. But we're ripping his technique here and going about an arm punch that, but he still finds your chin with a big, unorthodox, horrible punches. Take a guy who's trained to fight and swing. Aye. It's hard to be accurate when you're swinging like that.
Aye, even though he obviously lost that fight to Stipe, but Stipe's not got all the issues with his eye and stuff like that. That's I mean, he took some shots off Ngannou. So that's probably repercussions for that fight. But what did he do next in that division? Because DC really wants to fight Stipe again. I don't know if DC fancies jumping in there with Ngannou. What do you think they'd be in there?
DC would fucking
DC will smoke him.
Just say I'm done.
Aye,
I thought I seen something the day where DC's came out and said he can't wait forever for Stipe, and he's open to the fight with the big man.
That's good. I'm glad to hear that, because that to me,
I read that.
That makes sense.
Ngannou's not got a ground game, I don't think. DC will just take him down and murder him.
Yeah,
it's just getting through that fire button, isn't it?
Aye, that's it.
I mean, it's no. Obviously, DC's a great wrestler, and he's took guys like Anthony Johnson, who again another scary puncher. But I think this is a different level with Ngannou. So I guess it's if they can get through that fire, he should do well. But I mean, it'll be interesting to see what they do, because I don't think Stipe will be back anytime soon, because seemingly they can't sort the issue. What is it? Was it a detached retina, or it is a retina issue, isn't it?
Aye, it was an eye injury, I think. Aye.
Anybody that fights Ngannou needs to just try and kick him right in the balls at the start of the fight. Telling you, run up and kick him right in the stands.
Trevor Whitman's putting out on you, Stevie.
even take a point deduction for it. It'll be worth it.
Stevie, next fight show I'm listening. I'm going to get a bit closer and listen to your corner advice.
Take some. That's what I'd be saying at my fighter. Kick him right in the stands. Take some of his testosterone. We can't deal with that power.
Steal his power.
Kick and run for the first round. Ball.
What did you actually think of the event itself, watching it? Obviously, being able to hear the corners, no having the crowd. They obviously had the commentators separate, but then put them together, which seemed fucking retarded to me.
I enjoyed the event. Was good, man. I enjoyed it. It is not the same without the crowd, to be fair. I think people were going on about hearing the corners and all that stuff, but there's something missing without the crowd still. Even just the walkouts and that, like when Pseudo came out and threw his cat into the bleachers. Fucking weirdo. I enjoyed it, man. The product is the fights at the end of the day, and I thought all the fights were excellent.
Aye.
You said that big fat dosser. Verdum. What's he doing?
Oh, aye, Danny, you weren't too happy with that. Listen,
bust my coupon.
So I'll just say it here, he obviously popped for, he was using performance enhancing drugs. It was we popped for. What can you mind specifically what he got popped for?
No idea.
But he got a 2-year ban and get shortened because he snitched on people. He done that. I think cooperating with USADA thing that Jones done, and he's grassed on people to come back quicker. You maybe can tell he's not on the steroid now. I think everybody had him to win. He was in the argument. At one point, he was in the argument for best heavyweight in the world. He'd fixed these there like Kane and Fedor, and then he turned up with that. And you're like, oh shit!
You could see it straight away the minute he got in there. He looked across the middle. He looked horrible.
I saw it and I was like, oh no, I can't believe I backed him. Can't believe I backed him. He just looks like he's rolled off the couch. I didn't even think he trained for that fight.
And
he was like, he was
in shape.
Jiu-jitsu genius, and he's fallen off the back and that. Like, his jiu-jitsu just looked terrible, start to finish.
It was definitely a poor showing for Verdum. And unless he can hook up with TJ Dillashaw's guy, I don't think he'll be doing much again in the heavyweight division. I think that didn't look good. Imagine him getting in there with an Ngannou or something like that. That would be. I mean, you'd need to go to court for that shit.
That'd be justice served, if you ask me.
Nah, well, aye, there is that. And we'll jump onto the fight obviously before that one. So we had Calvin Kattar, Jeremy Stephens. Danny, again, I'll jump out at you first. Thoughts on the fight?
Again, it went how I expected. Stephens always dangerous. He looked really good in the first, and I thought it was pretty even. But Kattar is just too slick. His punches are too. He's just got crisp. He just lands cleaner stuff, and I thought it was a matter of time before he was gonna catch him with something. Really impressed.
I thought
looking forward to seeing Kattar again.
I thought he'd knocked him down with a punch, but I think the replay, it was an elbow he called.
It was an elbow, same. When I saw it live, I thought it was a punch, but it was the elbow, and he followed it up, and that's a great scalp, because I know Jeremy's had a couple of losses on the bounce now, but he's no joke. He brings it every time, and he's really dangerous.
So I've seen a few wee clips that it looked like maybe he had better footwork and maybe faster than Stephens. Stephens kind of plants his feet a wee bit more and throws for power.
So his jabs, everyone's off his jab. It's lovely. It's really, really clean technique.
His boxing is really good, and he's got really long arms as well, Kattar. And just to touch on what he says about Jeremy Stephens there, he has got a few losses, but he's fighting the best guys in the division. It's when you're fighting that high up in the division against guys like that, I mean, the losses happen. It's
33 fights in the UFC, I think, Jeremy Stephens. 33 fights. It's a big record, man.
2007 he debuted, something like that.
Yeah.
13 years in there. I mean, that's staying in the UFC for 13 years and fighting as actively as he has. That just shows how good he is.
The most frustrating thing about that is, like, see somebody like Jeremy Stephens as well. He could win a lot of those fights he's lost on another night. He could win. Like, that's I suppose that's a frustrating thing about the whole sport in general. But like, Jeremy Stephens is a proper competitor, and if he was to fight Calvin Kattar again next week, there's a chance he would land that punch and he would get the win. It's just that's the margins you're dealing with.
And the thing with Jeremy Stephens as well, a lot of the guys he's fighting now are up-and-coming guys, really talented guys that don't have maybe the big, massive names, but the skill sets are there. So
they've gave Kattar that fight pretty much to get him into the top 10. It's win-win for the UFC. If Stephens wins, then he wins, he's still in the top 10, he's just beat an up-and-comer. Or if the up-and-comer comes and takes out Stephens, it moves him into the top 10 rankings.
I think he's like the gatekeeper at featherweight.
Him and Ricardo Lamas, I think, for the top 5 anyway. He's an exceptionally good fighter, but he's not improved in 5 years. We spoke about it before. It was the footwork thing that won it. Stephens plods into distance, then when he's going to throw, he plants his feet just for a fraction too long, and then Kattar just slid away and countered. You see the difference with Stephens throwing like heavy single shots or twos now. When Kattar opened up these combinations, he was just flowing, and it was like beautiful to watch. Yeah? So it's a guy that's still improving. With Kattar, you wouldn't have seen him throwing elbows like that maybe 5 fights ago. Versus a guy, Jeremy Stephens is the way he is now for the last 5 years.
Really good camp Kattar's coming out as well. That's a really good camp they've got out there.
Yeah.
And the opening fight on the main card, we had the much maligned Greg Hardy against Jorgen De Castro. What did you? Do you think De Castro looked awfully timid compared to how he has in his previous fights?
Weird. weird. He came out in the first round. He looked excellent. I was like, he's gonna school him. He came out real aggressive, landing nice combinations, chopping away at the leg. I thought, he's going to take this guy to bits, 2 and 3, and then the second and third round, I don't know how many. I don't think he threw any punches.
Stop fighting.
He just bounced the boot and let Hardy tee off on him. But I'm not impressed with that Hardy, and I
got a decision. He won by
decision. It was terrible though. Like, he just apparently hurt his foot or something. But it's a fight. Like, you're gonna do stuff. You're gonna hurt your feet. You're gonna hurt your hands. You still need to be throwing if you want to win. I thought it was really strange.
Is there almost a sense in, so if you can all talk on this, if you say he's injured his foot in the first round and it's quite a bad injury and he knows it's a bad injury, when you get into the second, you almost kind of need to say, right, well, I'm not going to win a decision here with this injury, I've just got to go for it.
You've seen guys go in there. Who was it that broke both their hands and still went on to win? Was it Stephen Thompson?
Aye, and then you had Uriah Faber, broke his hands and used his elbows.
You've got guys that like can't throw a punch and are still going in there and trying. This guy's maybe broke a metatarsal or something. It's hardly a fight-ending injury. If he'd broke his leg or his ankle or something, fair enough. But I don't know. It was just weird. And at the end of the fight, it was like he was happy with his performance. I was just like, just thought it was really strange.
It's an opportunity for him as well, because although Greg Hardy's new to the sport, he's got name value, and you can make a name off somebody like that. You can really, really boost yourself up.
He was undefeated as well, wasn't he? That
Castro, yeah.
Lost his O to that big.
He's also only 6-0, which is you wouldn't be in a featherweight or a lightweight or a bantamweight division with a 6-0 record. Like, heavyweight's a different game. For light heavyweight and heavyweight, even middleweight's different for the rest of the divisions.
Mm.
Yeah, so that was the main card. So overall, everybody was happy with the show and glad to see MMA back.
I enjoyed it then.
I got all my picks right. I enjoyed the card top to bottom. Even we never talked about the Pettis fight.
Nah,
the Castro. You should have took my advice. Hardy won.
And I actually just rewatched the Pettis fight there, so actually just before we move on.
Who did you have?
I thought Cerrone had the fight. I felt Cerrone won the fight.
I'm going to have to watch it again.
Sorry, what did you say, James?
I scored it to Pettis at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I maybe watch it again. The two of them aren't what they used to be. Like the two of them aren't what they were in their prime. I thought it just looked like Pettis hurt Cerrone a lot more. You could see Cerrone's, even his body language and stuff, when he was getting hit, he was getting moved a bit there and stuff like that. Cerrone landed that peachy head kick, which might have gave him that round, but I scored it at the time. I scored it to Pettis.
Well, it was the main fight in the prelims. It was the last one before we went on to the main card.
It would have been on the main card rather than the Castro on fucking
Hardy.
I think it's
a much bigger fight.
It was, but I think their thinking is they're using Pettis and Cerrone to get people to watch the prelims and then to buy the pay-per-view. I think they do that quite a lot now. They'll put a really big fight on at the head of the prelims. It's to try and encourage buys on the pay-per-view. That's the only thing I can see anyway.
Hardy will always won the main card as well because he's a former NFL player.
No.
So, all the football fans watch him. And then Pettis and Cerrone wasn't any better than, in paper anyway, it wasn't a better fight than Stevens and Kate or even Ngannou or any of the other main card fights.
It was. They'll always use Hardy in the main card. I hate that being called football, but I mean, you use your horns. Call it handball, no football.
No.
So the fight. I had it 2 rounds to 1 to Cerrone. That's right, because the first round was really, really close, and the only really big thing I could differentiate the first round was the takedown. But I had Cerrone edging it, but it wasn't a bad decision, I don't think.
I was the same. At the time, I thought Cerrone had nicked it. But
no, it's not doing anything with those takedowns, but it almost looks like he's getting hurt with the strikes. It's forcing him to go for the takedown. And then he never done a single thing with the takedowns. Like, never landed a shot, never passed guard or anything.
He was starting to fake the takedowns though, and then start throwing the head kicks and stuff off them. Like, I thought he was maybe just using it to threaten them so he could get close and get something off.
I don't think it was a horrendous decision. I don't think it was MD will be crying too much about it. It's probably Cerrone won't be either. He didn't seem to be anyway. There was a bit of an eye poke in it as well. I think his thumb went into his eye. Yeah. But I don't think it was a bad decision. It was a good fight. I think two guys definitely in their twilight. I don't know. Do you think they've got much more left in the tank, both guys?
Stevie would probably fancy fighting either one of them. You know?
I've fought for a wee while. I'd like to fight Pettis anyway. But I'm in that kind of state of mind, and I just want to fight anybody. Fucking just buzzing to get back in there and fight.
Just keep yourself busy with the fasting and all that, you know.
That's that. Fucking help me get to weight.
What do you think? Do you think actually before we talk about the fights coming up, because they're obviously now talking about, like, say, Leon Edwards and stuff like that going out to fight Ireland. I think I heard somebody say fight Ireland was somewhere in the Virgin Islands or something like that. What do you reckon? Do you fancy that, flying out to a remote island?
I am up for it, like.
Quite a weird experience.
Even if my knee's fucked, I'll just take a fight and fucking take it as a holiday. I'll pull out with plenty of notice so that my opponent can get a replacement, but I'll just take it as a holiday.
Have you had any word? I take it you've not had any word in that for the UFC about it, just with everything that's going on about the stem cells?
Nah, but see, to be honest, I've kind of spoke to a few more guys that have clued up on it, and stem cells, I'll try it anyway. Obviously, I'll still try it, but it might not even be a good treatment for what's wrong with my knee, because it's just like, I'm sure it's just like heavy arthritis I've got a thing called subchondral cirrhosis, which I think I said that in my MRI, and that I'm sure that's just, it shows up in the later stages, osteoarthritis, and it's basically just where both bones are throbbing with kind of like red and painful, and it makes sense because that's what my knee feels like all the time, just hot. Like if I go for a long walk, a cycle, a swim, anything really where I'm using my knee, even the things that you would say is good for the knees, my knees are fucking aching after it.
Just a case of just work around it.
There's a thing. There's an injection you can get. I can't even say the word, hyaluronic or something.
Hyaluronic acid.
Hyaluronic acid. You can get an injection and that's like a lubricant. So it's like I suppose a lubricant that'll kind of stop my knees from rubbing the gear so much, and so I'm really trying to.
I think we've lost your sound a wee bit, Stevie. Right.
He'll still be talking.
No, he's not. Right, well, so fight picks then. We've got, went for knee MMA. We know we've got 2 cards this weekend, so we've got a UFC fight night on Wednesday, technically Thursday for us. So I think what we'll do is we'll kick this one off with you, James. So let me just pop the cards up. Right, so first event is UFC and ESPN 8, headlined by Alistair Overeem and Walt Harris. So kicking off that card, we're going to have Marlon Vera, and that's against Song Yadong.
I'll go Marlon Vera. I think.
Marlon Vera.
I think the other kid, Saddam's a good fighter, but he had a lot of hype about him coming out of Team Alpha Male, I think, and he didn't look too great in the last fight. He might look better here, I'm not sure, but on his last performance, I'll pick Marlon Vera.
And we'll come to Stevie now. This is the pick we're all interested in. Well, Vera, Saddam, Stevie, who you got? Vera. Perfect. And your volume's a bit low, Stevie, by the way. I don't know if your hand's on your speaker. Aye, that's it. And Danny, for you, this one?
I'm Chito Vera as well. I think the experience will be he's got quite a big experience advantage. I think he'll be a bit too well schooled for this guy.
Perfect. And next up in the card will be Eric Anders versus Christoph Jotko. James, where are you leaning on that one?
Anders. Jotko's been a bit flat the last couple of fights. I think Anders just looks like he's improving. He's quite fun to watch and stuff as well. So I think I'll go with him. Probably TKO maybe.
Stevie, for you, Anders or Jotko, who you got there?
I think Anders. I'm sure as Anders more a bit bigger, kind of looking stronger as well. I think. Thinking off the top of my head, anyway, I'd probably take Anders on that.
Anders, another former football player, really good athlete as well. And Danny,
as well.
Who you got there, Danny?
Back and forward on that one. I get it that Anders is a good athlete and he's fast and all that, but he's not been in the sport that long, and at that weight class, I think somebody like Jotko, who's got a bit more experience, he'll have stronger grappling. I think he could maybe sub him. I'll go Jotko.
Perfect. And next on the card's a really interesting one because we've got Edson Barboza dropping down to fight Dan Ige. I'm really interested that Barboza's going down to featherweight. I don't know how he makes featherweight because he used to look, he didn't look like he had anything to lose at lightweight. So I almost feel that this could be one of the situations where he's going to suffer physically trying to make this weight. Again, we'll come to you on that one, James. Obviously, you know both fighters. Who do you get? Who have you got there?
I've got Ige winning that. I think Barboza, the weight cut's going to be tough from what you're saying. He's always looked like a big lightweight, and I think Ige might be one of the worst guys for somebody having a bad weight cut to fight because he's just relentless. He's intense right out the gate, and he'll keep that pace on him for 15 minutes. Barboza doesn't deal well with going backwards. He struggles with that. And I think he's come out recently about making comments about wanting the UFC to release him and all this other stuff. So I don't know where his head is now with fighting if he's asking them to release him and then taking fights. So I think Ige, he's been flying recently, and I think this will be like a bit of a kind of coming out party for him a little bit.
And Stevie, where would you lean in that fight? Obviously, Barboza dropped from 155 to featherweight and goes in there and fights Dan Ige.
I think I'm going to pick Ige on that one as well. Like James says, Barboza doesn't really deal well with going on the back foot, and especially not even so much on the back foot. It's more like if guys are really pressuring them, and I can imagine Iggy's going to come forward, kind of box them and pressure them back to the fence. I could see Iggy maybe even knocking him out with like an overhand right, catching him with it because he's cutting the extra weight. He might not be able to take the shot as much as before.
Perfect. And Danny, obviously you're familiar with Dan Ige. You've been in there with him. What do you think, and especially with Barbosa trying to cut another £10?
It's one of them. Like I'm sort of questioning Barbosa's motivation. Like I read things about him saying he was wanting cut as well. He was a bit annoyed that he'd had such a long layoff, and then I don't know. It just puzzles me that he's going down to feather as well. He was absolutely shredded at 155, so I'm not sure if I've never seen him in the flesh, so I don't know if he's a big lightweight that didn't cut a lot of weight, or if he's really going to struggle to get to feather. With all the unknowns, I think I would favour Ige for the same reasons the guys do. He can if he can push Barbosa back and get him circling, catch him circling like Gaethje did, then he's got every chance of knocking him out, or even just being relentless for the 3 rounds and getting the nod off the judges.
Yeah, it's baffling why he's cutting down, because we've seen a lot of guys moving weight classes, but generally they're moving up the weight classes these days and having some success.
Quite a bit of a reach advantage, I think, but I'm sure Ige seems quite smart. I reckon that he'll have planned to obviously get inside and deal with the reach advantage.
I've not seen Barbosa look. I think Barbosa in his prime, when he was letting those wheel kicks go and he was chopping people with that switch kick and the low kick and stuff, I think if he could get his kicks off fast and keep the range, then he's got the ability to beat him. But it's just I don't think he's motivated enough, and I think he gets really hungry, and he'll go in there realising the opportunity that he's got, and he'll seize it.
It's a difficult one to actually predict, because you just don't know how Barbosa is going to look in there. It's very hard to predict, and like you say, if he's not motivated, he's pretty much going to be in trouble. If he even makes a weight, who knows?
I hope he smokes him. It'll make me feel a bit better.
So co-main on the card, we've actually got Claudia Gadelha against Angela Hill. James, thoughts on the fight?
Gadelha won 2-1. She'll win the first 2 rounds and she'll gas, like she always does. Hill's been cut for the UFC like 3 times or so, and she keeps cut. I think she's always ready for a short notice fight, so they keep bringing her back. Gadelha at one point was in the conversation for the best female at 115 pounds, and ran into Joanna a couple of times, and she done all right in their fights for 2 rounds, and she gasses out. Seems to be her thing. So I reckon she'll be too physical for her striking. Hopefully she grapples. She's good when she's on the deck, and she should win 2 rounds to 1, I think.
Perfect. And got to shout out Claudia Gadelha's Instagram. It's very good. I like her Instagram. Stevie, what you got in that one?
I think Gadelha, I think she'll stop her. I think she'll stop her with ground and pound or submit her.
And Danny?
I'm just going to be entirely honest. I didn't really watch any women's MMA. I'm in danger of being a sexist pig, but I just didn't enjoy watching it. So I haven't got a clue.
Oh, the inbox is getting flooded.
Aye.
There's going to be articles written. Danny Henry.
I've tried. I just didn't enjoy it. It just doesn't interest me.
To be fair, there was a fight on UFC 249. I know we're in the bigly predictions, but what do you think in terms of, was that the worst fight in the card, James?
What fight was that?
Waterston.
It was still a good fight. It wasn't the same as the rest of the fights, because the guys were all beating the crap out of each other. Technically it was a good, decent fight, but again, it wasn't on that card. It just was a wee bit of violence missing for the rest of the card.
Aye,
I didn't watch it.
Did you just skip that one?
I just went and made a pot noodle or something, I think.
That's a fucking long time to make a pot noodle. 15 odd minutes. Fucking hell. So then we've got.
Bad boys.
We've got the main event then. So we've got Alistair Overeem, obviously he'd fought two gentlemen that were on the main card the weekend there and lost pretty badly against Walt Harris. Obviously Walt Harris has a lot of stuff going on in his personal life, obviously personal tragedy and stuff like that. What do you think of the matchup itself, James, and what way do you see this one going?
I'd love to see Walt Harris win just because of the stuff he's just came through. It's a tricky matchup. Like if he's going to have to wrestle, I think. I'd favour. I think he should win. Like Overeem's not been that great for a while. Him and Orlovsky in that division are just like anybody half decent should get through him. I think Walt Harris has already kind of established himself as one of the kind of younger guys coming up, and he should be able to take Overeem out. He'll beat him on point. I don't think it'll be a great fight. It'll probably go the distance, but unless Overeem catches him with something, I think he should grind out a decision with probably a lot of wrestling.
Perfect. And did Jack Slacknell say something about Arlovsky and Overeem and Verdum, saying that they're just there for paychecks now?
Aye. The guys are on big money as well. They all come over with like not so much Arlovsky, but the rest of them come over with like the Pride contract, so they're on like maybe £350,000 a fight or whatever. But it's what else can the guys do? It's how they're there and they're living there.
And it's a lot of money to go in there, even if you're maybe no want to be in there. £350,000, I'm sure you wouldn't mind being your what you get paid per fight.
Big Verdum rolling off the couch for it.
Aye, rolling right into 350 grand. Can't it be like that old Scrooge McDuck guy swimming in the money?
Spear.
Stevie, what you got in that one, mate? The main event.
I've had a mind blank. Who is it again?
It's Walt Harris and Overeem.
I think Walt Harris. Again, Overeem was kind of hard one sometimes. Like I remember watching him not that long ago. He took his time. I can't remember who it was against, but it looked really good. Didn't really rush it, and then sometimes he can go in there and get chinned. Seems to not have the best chin on him these days, but it's probably a lot of steroid abuse and that as well. I suppose it probably depends on where Walt Harris's head is. If he's using like what's happened in his personal life as like motivation, or I suppose it can go the other way as well. But I'd probably pick Walt Harris on that one.
And how do you see it, Danny?
I don't know. I thought Overeem looked pretty good against Rosenstruck when they fought. I'll go for Overeem. I think he'll land something decent, and maybe he could even pull out that old guillotine if Walt's pushing the wrestling. I'll pick Overeem.
Perfect. And I just realised I messed up. This is a UFC Jacksonville card on Saturday. So we'll now go into Wednesday's card, which is Glover versus Smith. Right, let's get this one up.
Wouldn't worry about it. Nobody cares what day of the week it is now anyway.
Oh, it's fucking... it's weird. It's weird. You don't know what day it is. I've nearly missed my bins about 3 times. I'm like, oh, fuck, it's bin day today. So kicking off this card, we've got Carl Robertson versus Marvin Vettori. Thoughts on that one, James?
I don't know who the guys are, to be honest. Vettori's the Italian guy, right?
Vettori's the Italian guy.
Big jacked.
I'll go with Vettori. He's actually looking... When he gets better every time you see him. I can't remember where he is now doing his camps. He's in America, maybe AKA. But he even gave relatively impressive showing against Adesanya when he fought him, considering what he's went on today. So I'll go Vettori.
Yeah, and Stevie, what do you think on that one?
Yep, short and sweet. I'll go with him too.
And Danny?
You're just copying everything James is saying.
Are you clicked on that?
Nah, he's not even watched the fights for the weekend.
So what do you think?
I didn't know the other guy, and I do remember that that guy is quite an athletic-looking kind of guy, and I think he's a southpaw. No, I can't mind that, but I know him. I didn't know the other guy, so fuck it.
I'm not that familiar with Robertson either. He's a contender guy, is he?
Mm-hmm. Aye.
I'll go with the Italian as well. I've seen him a few times. He's dead aggressive and he looks pretty big for the weight as well. He always looks massive compared to everyone he's fighting. So I think he'll be too physical for him.
He's pretty jacked. So what you're saying, Danny, when we're doing these projection shows in future, we put Stevie first?
Aye, definitely.
You could ask me first.
I think we done that last time.
Right, that's what we'll do.
They'll start copying me.
Right, so next up we've got Ray Borg against Ricky Simon. So Stevie,
oh fuck,
who do you think?
Ray Borg, I've heard that name, but fuck, I can't even think who it is.
Ray Borg missed weight a couple of times, and Ricky Simon just not long ago fought Uriah Faber.
Bantamweight or something,
Yep.
We guys. I'll go with Ray Borg. Do not have a clue who the other guy is. So,
James, I'll jump here to you then. I've got a feeling you might go the other way.
I was actually going to pick Ray Borg there. I'll be interested to see how he is at bantamweight, but I don't know if he's going to quit, how his wrestling will hold up fighting that heavier weight class. Simone looked good in his last fight. Actually, the only fight he's looked bad is in the Faber fight where he get hit with a shot that he gets hit with all the time. I'll go Simone, just so I'm not copying Stevie.
and Danny?
I'm Simone as well. I think the other wee guy's been around too long. He's not got the hunger anymore.
I think his game at flyweight was based on him being bigger and stronger than everybody in wrestling. And I'll know when you come up to 100, even though he missed weight a bunch of times, he'll no carry at 135 the same.
It's one of the things as well. He put himself in a really weird position because he said, if I ever miss weight again, I'm going to retire. Yeah. And he missed weight again, which has obviously been why he's moved up a weight class, because I don't think he's moved to bantamweight. I don't know if it's been entirely his choice. I think his hand might have been forced there.
Mm-hmm. I think if you miss it so many times, they'll probably tell you not to bother attempting it anymore. They'll force you to move up, I think, what they've done with Johnny Hendricks. So maybe they've just told him, if you don't want to fight at bantamweight, we're not going to match you at flyweight, which is, if you miss it that much, if you miss it 3 times or even 2 times, then that should be within their right to do that, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
We didn't mention it, but what about Stevens missing weight by all that amount?
4.5 pounds. That's, I don't know, I'd posted something. I was interested to see if that had an impact in the fight, because I think we've spoken shows before, me and James. The win rate for guys that miss weight is really, really high.
90%, I think, as it's like 85 to 90%. It's massive. I don't know how much the lockdowns and stuff like that's affecting things like weight cuts and shit like that.
See, when guys miss weight, I don't know about you. One thing I always try and look for, I try and look for how they look physically, because you always wonder how, especially when it's like 4.5 pounds away, has that guy actually done everything he could to try and get to the weight and it's just not been possible, or has he thought, I'm going to miss weight here, so why put myself through it?
Bit of both, I think. But it's obviously just a failure in kind of preparing.
It wasn't late notice or that, though, was it? It wasn't a late notice fight or nothing.
No,
so there's no real excuse. There's no real excuse.
The only thing that was different is they checked in on the Wednesday instead of the normal check-in Tuesday. But that's just, they're in America anyway.
But he's got his teammate Dominic Cruz fighting in the card, so obviously it's a different, going to be different from their weight cut, but their timings and all that are going to be similar. So you would expect, and unfortunately the thing is for Stevens, it's not the first time he's missed weight.
He's a big featherweight.
It's one of the ones, though. He is a big featherweight, but if you're continually missing weight like Ray Borg, at some point you might have to. And the thing is, Stevens as well, how many fights he had? He's been in there for 2007. The weight cuts, did he use? Obviously, he's no better than me, but the weight cuts, did he get harder each time?
How old
especially
is
as you're getting older?
Is he 33, 34?
Aye.
That might have something to do with it.
Because it's the amount of weight cuts as well. He's been fighting in the UFC for 13 years. And he said, much fights did you say against James? 33?
33, I think. Cerrone's at 35 or something, and he's at 33.
Stevie, you can do the dishes later on.
Fucking bursting for a piss.
What, you got to do the kids inside?
So next up in the card, we've got 3 fights left. So we've got Drew Dober and Alex Hernandez. Stevie, Drew Dober, Alex Hernandez, who you got?
Drew Dober.
Perfect. Any reason why Drew Dober? Anything in particular?
Because he needs a piss.
He looked good against Nasrat. He looks like a big, kind of strong guy. He looks obviously hits fairly hard as well. Fairly athletic, good shape. That Hernandez, he's everything of that as well, to be honest. But I didn't like how much of a cocky prick he was against Killboy. So I want him to lose.
And James Dober Hernandez?
I've got Dober as well. I think he's just better at. Hernandez is going to come out and try and strike him, and Dober's a better striker. What he done to Nazarat was impressive, and then Hernandez get found out a wee bit in the Cowboy fight. He talked the talk and get all that hype, and then he gets shelved off the Cowboy. So I'll go with Dober. Dober's similar to Calvin Kattar. I think he's excellent, and he's a wee bit underrated.
He's a really good guy as well. Dober's looked great his last fight. So Danny, on to you with this one.
I'm Dober as well. I think he's going to be too powerful. I think it's one of those. He's a fighter. He's a fighter, whereas the other guy's more of an athlete. I think, if you ask me, and I put Cowboy in the fighter bracket, and he, like James said, he really showed that boy up the last time. What's his name again? I always forget his name.
Alexander Hernandez.
I think he's an athlete, and I think Dober's a fighter, and I think the fighter will get the job done.
Aye. It was next up we've got so we've got Owen St. Preux, I believe. So Owen St. Preux, obviously former light heavyweight, moving up to heavyweight to fight Ben Rothwell. So James, we'll get you first on this. First of all, give me your thoughts on him moving up to the heavyweight division.
I think it's probably a smart move for him. He's a big light heavyweight. He'll be much faster, more dynamic than all the heavyweights. When he lets his stuff go. I think Ben Rothwell's maybe just a bad first fight for heavyweight. He's a big heavyweight, super tough. He'll take whatever OSP throws at him and get a hold of him, probably lean against the fence or whatever. And maybe he'll probably submit him, I think. But I think he can do well at heavyweight, but just it's a hard first ask for him. Rothwell's a legit heavyweight with a lot of experience.
It was weird actually. You can straight up and get into one of the biggest guys I've got. Not the tallest, but just all round, he's a massive guy. Ben Rothwell seems to me like he's a bit fucking nuts as well. Listening to him talk, sometimes he seems a bit crazy.
He's Doolan.
So Stevie, we were talking. It's the fight we're talking about is Ben Rothwell versus Owen St. Preux. Who do you think? Who do you fancy in that one?
Probably OSP. Von Flue, maybe.
He's not Von Flue in that guy.
I'll go OSP again. Thinking too much about both of them, but That OSP seems to pull it out of the bag and hit a couple of Van Flue chokes as well. So,
and Danny, St. Preux, obviously against Rothwell, and obviously it's his debut at heavyweight OSPs. How do you see it going?
I think OSP will get it done. I think he'll be too fast. He'll have better footwork, and I think he'll outpoint him. He'll outstrike him.
See, on the move up to heavyweight, do you think guys like OSP are looking at the heavyweight division and thinking, and then looking at their own division and seeing John Jones at the top of it? Do you think they're just thinking to themselves they've got a better chance up at heavyweight? What do you think the thought process for moving up?
Doesn't need to diet.
The fucking quarantine. Even I'm thinking about going to heavyweight.
I think there's definitely there will be an element of that. OSP had his shot at John Jones, and he could never beat John Jones. But at the same time, he's not going to beat Cormier. He's not going to beat Cormier. He's not going to beat Ngannou. He's not going to beat Stipe. I don't know. He probably just doesn't want to diet anymore.
Is it, Jake? I think we've lost James for a wee minute. We've gone back. So Jake, that's what it is. Then he doesn't feel maybe mentally that thinks, right, I'm never going to get to the championship. So I'll just earn my money and no suffer in camps.
That, and plus he might be looking at the heavyweights and just seeing them as slow. Like he's got quite a nice kicking game and stuff like that. He's maybe thinking, there's nobody up there. They're not really kicking up there too much. Maybe I can just go up and he is a bit of a point scorer. I mean, other than the Von Flue choke that he tends to go to points. So he's maybe just fancy his chances going up and hanging with someone.
Aye, until they phone him and say, listen, Ngannou next fight. He's like, no, sorry, Canny, I'm going back to light heavyweight.
Aye.
Then he can do my game plan. Just fucking kick him in the balls.
Fly you in for camp, Stevie.
He's probably walking about at heavyweight and training with heavyweights all the time anyway. Like,
aye.
If he's cutting weight to 205, he's maybe walking about at 230, 240 anyway. Well, it makes no odds to him. It just means no diet.
Aye, that's it.
Bit more cake.
So it's one of the ones you could potentially be looking at. If he's no dieting or that, is there something to be said about training happy?
It seems to work for DC at heavyweight.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he's done great heavyweight. Obviously, that Stipe fight he lost, but that was I think he just made a mistake in the fight, trying to getting away from what he's good at. Now, main event, we're going back to the light heavyweight, so we've got Anthony Smith, who's taking a rest for smashing intruders' faces off to fight Glover Teixeira. Who do you fancy in that one, Stevie?
I'm going to go Anthony Smith. I want to say that he's younger, but to be honest, I don't have a clue. He looks younger and feels younger than Teixeira. Seems like he's been around forever. He looks old. Probably been a meathead as well. I'm going to go with who I said.
Smith?
Yep.
Smith's definitely younger. Glover's carrying on a bit in years. He's fairly getting up there in years. James, what do you think with that one?
I'll go Smith as well. He's been on a good run. I think we've been at his last 2 or 3 fights actually. He was in Canada and he was in Sweden when we were there, coming off the Gustafsson win. He looked brilliant that night. I think he's just too, at this point, he's too physical for Glover. He's still excellent, like he's solid everywhere, but you can see him slowing down a wee bit and he's tough in some of these fights out, whereas I think Smith going into the Jones fight and not getting the win, but I think he's came out of that aware of the fact that he's not far off that level. He probably fancies chances in a rematch with Jones. So I'll pick Smith. I don't know if he stops him or not. He probably will stop him around 4, I think, but he's just a wee bit, at this stage in time, he's just got a wee bit too much, I think, for for Teixeira.
And over to yourself, Danny. Do you agree?
I agree. It's just Teixeira's just got too many miles on the clock, and Smith's still got title aspirations.
Probably had more fights than Smith's. Smith's had a ton of fights.
There's like 50, 37 and 10
one of the guys with the big 50, like near the 50 mark. There's not a lot of these guys about, but he's probably not had the wars and stuff.
That's what I was getting at. All the fights I've seen Teixeira, and it's always been a scrap, and he is an older guy. I can't mind. He signed late, didn't he? He was mid-30s when he signed. He had visa issues or something.
He couldn't get into the country because he was training out with Chuck Liddell's team.
Chuck Liddell and all that. So that's how long ago you're talking, Chuck Liddell sort of time. So I think, with Smith's title aspirations, he'll just be far more motivated than Teixeira will be to get the win, and his youth and just overall style should get the job done. Yeah, although Teixeira's still dangerous, he's got great hands, good boxing.
And Teixeira as well, he after that fight he had with Jones really fucked his shoulder up, didn't he? And he's kind of been up and down since that fight. So Anthony Smith was talking about, obviously, did you see the stuff about the home intruder?
Aye.
And
scary as fuck.
I know, because he obviously thought somebody else was in. He said he was like, the guy was about 170 pounds. It's not like the guy was giving him a good fight or anything like that, but Anthony Smith said he took everything. But I think there was pictures of him after it.
I think he was a wrestler, and he was probably on crystal meth or something. He said that's why he was taking everything, but I don't know why he didn't shoot him. You're allowed to shoot people in America, didn't they do that? I'd have just, if I had a gun, I'd definitely shot him. Like,
just blast him.
That's fucking Americans and their gun. Did you see that stuff the other day about the lad out jogging and then get fucking get out jogging then get shot? The video.
That's fucking madness.
I know,
they never arrested the guys that done it for like 2 months after or something.
I think it's been social media pressure and all that now, and all that sort of stuff. And now
I don't think the video was out there. I think the video came out, and then the social media pressure kicked off. And apparently, the dad's an ex-copper or something.
Right.
He's got something to do with the Department of Justice, I think. But they also, I think they're making that like a race. It's like a race crime now. There's some. I think they've had issues with that guy before. His son, I think, had some issues with that kid.
They said he looked like a robber or something. There had been some break-ins locally, and that he resembled the guy that done it. So they just jumped in their Jeep and confronted him.
Shot him in the back.
That's crazy. He looked like a criminal, so I shot him. Fucking hell, man. That's mental. One other quick thing I wanted to get your thoughts on. There's obviously with this Fight Island talk and that, we've kind of been hearing a bit of murmurings about potential Masvidal McGregor matchup. Obviously, Usman was potentially there for Masvidal, but McGregor fight's probably a bigger fight for him. What do you think? Do you think that fight could happen?
I hope so.
Would you reckon if Jake Conor, if it does happen, Jake Conor will make him come to 155?
I think that'd be smart. Masvidal's looked excellent at 70. He struggled to 55. I think if they're not going to make it for that stupid belt, that BMF belt, but they'll probably put that on it. That'll just be a wee extra cherry on top to sell it. But I mean, nobody's really bothered about the belt. You just want to see the fight. It is a good fight. It's a great fight.
See, if they were really smart, this is the opportunity to get that 165 division in there. Put 165 in. Put a 175 in. Because I mean, there's so many guys that would fit perfectly into 165. I think that are slightly too small for welterweight, but a wee bit too big for lightweight.
Yeah, it's a big jump.
Aye. Would you think that would be smart for them to do that, to just put that extra division in there?
Aye, I've been kind of talking about that division for a long time. That jump £15 is far too much. Mm-hmm. There's so many good fighters would go in at 165, I think, as well. It'd be straight out of the gate. It'd be one of the strongest divisions in the sport. It'd give guys more options, and it'd give them more options with title fights, because the list of champions you've got the bantamweight and the flyweight title was now vacant. If Cejudo's retired, Volkanovski's got Holloway again coming up. The lightweight title can't get defended till Khabib finishes Ramadan. I can't even mind what Len Usman's going to fight. So give them another. They like these belts for pay-per-views and stuff. So just give them another belt. Instead of making stupid belts up, it gives them a legit division with fully good fighters.
Think of the build-up as well. It's that chance. I mean, that'll get Conor definitely out of bed anyway. Yeah, the chance to be a 3-weight champion and a BMF title holder if they put the two of them on. I mean, that fight Masvidal's really popular now. I don't think the trash talking side of things would particularly work on him. It'd be a great build-up. I think it
just make him angry.
I think it would be smart. Be a good fight to make.
I think it's a massive fight. Masvidal had like a great year last year, and if they want to capitalise on that, they'll need to get him out quick, because if they let him sit on the shelf for too long, people are really quick to forget what he done last year. So they need to try and keep that momentum going.
He's not the sort of guy to make a song and dance out with the sport, whereas Conor's always putting his name out there, even when he doesn't mean it. Anytime anybody falls out, somebody's dropping Conor's name in just to keep him in the mix. Whereas Masvidal gives a fuck if anybody's paying attention, to be honest.
No, see, Dana gets so against things like this. He's so against it, but then his mind seems to be very changeable. So who knows? I think it would be smart for it to go to 165.
If stuff goes on for like a long period of time on this island, everyone's going to change. Like, it's not going to. The whole game's going to have to change just to suit that. And then with them, you've seen it with them having that show at the weekend. Then they've got twos. They've got a midweek show. When's the last time they had a midweek show? Everyone's going to change. So bringing in another
fight week, eh? Yeah, fight week's about the only time.
Aye, but bringing in another division, is not the biggest thing. It suits the fighters, which is what he should be doing. If he wants the fighters to be working and happy, he needs to try and do stuff for them.
Do you think we should have a weight division every £10?
It makes sense.
Yeah, it's fair.
Up to 205, and then just keep heavyweight.
The biggest jump isn't even for lightweight as well, is it? It's middleweight to light heavyweight. £20.
£20.
Aye, that jump.
They could have a cruiserweight in there at 195. Even move, but middleweight's 185, isn't it?
Aye, middleweight's 185. So go middleweight, cruiserweight,
heavyweight. £10 increment.
Yeah.
Could just say heavyweight. Listen, there's no weight limit. Just do whatever.
They've got that in some other sports where they'll have like a super heavyweight division. It'll be guys like you wouldn't have Brock Lesnar when he was fighting, cutting for £310 to 265.
Imagine that, man. That guy, he would be on. There would be literally no juice left for anybody. A guy would come in about 320.
Wonder what big fucking Shaquille O'Neal weighs. He must weigh a ton.
I think he weighs about 40. He weighs about 4 Volvos or something. Does he know?
He's fucking heavy.
He's. Did you ever see the video? Shaquille O'Neal and was it Claudia Gadelha ran in and put a choke on him?
Seen him roll. I mind watching him rolling about with Forrest Griffin.
It was
like he was like playing with a toddler or something. It was weird, man. It's weird to watch. He's fucking massive. That's
the exact video I was talking about. He's rolling with Forrest at first and they're messing about and that, and then she comes running in, jumps on his neck.
I didn't watch women's MMA, man.
It was kind of like one of the videos. Shaquille O'Neal, big massive black dude, and then the wee chick runs in.
Cal Murray's videos.
That's those sort of videos.
Aye, Callum was got to do a live show with us at the weekend, but he got busy.
Nice.
So
very busy man.
Busy Bundy.
Very busy man.
Well, I think with this video, what we'll do is I'll take a look back and take a note of all the picks, and then once the cards are out at the end of the week, we'll tally them up and we'll see who's the winner is. I don't know, who's your favourite?
Stevie will be a draw.
I got them all right last time, bar
Verdum. I got him. No, I picked Ferguson.
You picked Castro or whatever.
Aye, Castro. I never had him on my coupon though. I did get 50 quid off Gio though. Gio Thompson. Done a wee side bet with me.
Aye, quite.
Aye.
How much did you lose out on that? How much did Verdum actually cost you? What would the winnings have been?
Just short 900 quid.
Well, listen, it could have been worse. I don't know if Wayne O'Driscoll will see this, but I would pretty much say he's probably had the worst fight picks in potentially the world.
He doesn't have a Scooby, man.
It basically, if I'm ever picking fights again, I'm going to ask to see his so I can just pick the exact opposite. He'll make me a fortune.
He's got his head screwed on. He keeps putting up photos of homemade sandwiches and that. I'm like, everyone's homemade, you fucking raj. Everyone's shut.
And I think that's a perfect way to end this. So listen, thanks very much for coming on. As always, guys, when you're tuning into the show, hit that subscribe button on YouTube, and obviously like and follow the Higher Level Facebook and Instagram pages. And we appreciate you watching the show.